Is buying a home that needs a little TLC a smart move or more hassle than it's worth? For first-time buyers, it can seem like a more affordable option, but how do you know if you're getting a moneymaker or a money pit? We're going to take you through the things you need to know if you're flirting with the idea of buying what's often referred to as a fixer-upper. A project property can vary from major renovation to simple restyling. And it's true that these homes can often be for sale at a lower price than those that are more similar but in a good condition. So it can seem like a canny way to get your first foot on the property ladder, and could also mean you could possibly afford to buy in a location you thought was out of your price range. And for many, it can be seen as the chance to add value to your investment, as well as make your own in a way you can't always do with a newly built home. But let's be real. Renovation can be expensive, and it's not easy to price work accurately. The cost of labour and materials can quickly rack up, and it's important to use experts to cost things properly. Even with good quality estimates, it's worth having a contingency fund just in case you unearth something that you haven't accounted for. Underestimating costs is a common reason for going over budget. So buying a fixer-upper is not without risk. Sometimes you find your new home needs more work than you originally thought. That's why it's advised to get a full survey done before you buy, and get your surveyor's opinion on the likely cost of the work before you make an offer. The other cost that it's easy to overlook is the fact that it may not be possible to live in the place while the work is going on, in which case you might need to pay to rent somewhere at the same time. It's essential to factor these things in before you can decide whether the property really is the bargain it seems. You need to manage the project to coordinate the work, and projects that overrun place a strain on work and your personal life. Consider how long you're likely to be there. If you're probably going to be moving on within a few years, is it really worth the hassle? If, despite the negatives, you're still tempted by the idea of a fixer-upper, how do you go about finding one that's worth it? Look at how well maintained the neighbouring houses are. If you're taking on the worst property in the street where neighbouring properties are well maintained, you're more likely to have good mileage in the renovation. But if properties round at about a rundown too, there's more likely to be a ceiling on how much value you can realistically add. Consider carefully whether you have the funds, the time, the commitment, and the patience to take on the project. And remember that while the property might be cheaper than other similar places, so you'll need a smaller mortgage, lenders may well be cautious about lending on a place that needs a lot of work. There's a lot to consider, but there's no doubt there can be huge satisfaction. And there's also the potential for a good return in the long run, depending on market conditions when you decide to sell, if you choose to buy a fixer-upper as your first home. If you've enjoyed this episode of First Home Focus in association with Skipton Building Society, make sure you're subscribed and do join us again soon.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of Move IQ's First Home Focus podcast. We hope you found our tips and advice helpful. Remember, home ownership may be closer than you think, and we are here to support you every step of the way. So please don't forget to subscribe, rate and review our podcast so you never miss an episode. Until next time.